where one natural order ends and the spiritual order begins. We are coming into our highest form. We will function in our highest place. We come to realize who we really are. So I ask that question again. If you had the opportunity to rewrite your story, to rewrite your script, what would you write? Who would you be? What would you be doing? And where would you be? And I'll say the other thing one more time about the eye. When the eye fully hooks into redemption, Jubilee comes to the entire bodily system. We know that when our eye hooks into something, it multiplies. There are many, many things in life that are competing for the attention of our eyes. But if what our eye hooks into multiplies, what am I looking at? What am I beholding? What should I be looking at? What should I be beholding? So we're going to go on a little journey this morning, and not going to take too long because I definitely love to open it up. But I'm going to start with Mark chapter 8, verse 34 through 36 in the New King James. And we all know this, but I'm going to read it in the mirror as well. Mark chapter 8, verse 34 says, when he had called the people to himself with his disciples also, he said to them, whoever desires to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever desires to save his life will lose it. But whoever loses his life for my sake and the gospel's will save it. For what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his own soul? Verse 35 in the Amplified. I just want to read that one in the Amplified. For whoever wants to save his higher life will lose it, will lose the lower natural temporal life, which is lived only on earth. And whoever gives up his natural lower temporal life on earth for my sake and the gospel's will save his higher life, his spiritual life in the eternal kingdom of God. Now let's look at this in the mirror. But I'm looking at Luke chapter 9, verse 23 in the mirror. We know that I think Matthew, Mark, and Luke had the account, but they all say it a little differently. But the mirror definitely expounds upon it. So Luke chapter 9, verse 23 and 24 in the mirror, it says, Yeshua then looked everyone in the eye and said to them, joining me in close companionship in your daily walk involves perceiving my mission as fully representing you. I gotta read that one more time. Yeshua then looked everyone in the eye and said to them, joining me in close companionship in your daily walk involves perceiving my mission as fully representing you. Get over and done with any idea of self that contradicts your true I amness. Here is how you do it. Lift up your cross once and for all by seeing it mirrored in mine. My cross is your cross. That's a powerful thing to think about. Christ said, my cross is your cross. And he said, when you get to the place where you fully perceive what my mission was to come and completely represent you. So my cross is your cross is my cross. When we see ourselves completely on the cross, it's not about physical death. What he's talking about is dying to the self. The all of the programming or the conditioning and all of the things that we believe about ourselves that are contrary to who we really are in our I amness. Let me read that one more time, and then we'll read 24. He then looked everyone in the eye and said to them, joining me in close companionship in your daily walk involves perceiving my mission as fully represented you. Get over and done with any idea of self that contradicts your true I amness. Here is how you do it. Lift up your cross once and for all by seeing it mirrored in mine. My cross is your cross. Verse 24. Trying to keep the self of your own making intact is a lost cause to begin with. Losing yourself in me is realizing that I am the source of who you are by design. This is your saving grace. Romans 6:11 in the mirror. Look at this. Romans 6:11 in the mirror. Based on what we just said, my cross is your cross. That's what Yeshua said. Verse 11 in Romans 6. This reasoning is equally relevant to you. Calculate the cross. There can only be one logical conclusion. He died your death. He died your death. And I'm going to tell you something right now that, and we know this, the more this group touches the realms that we're discussing, the ideas that we're talking about, the more we touch it, the more we engage with it, all of humanity begins to feel the effects of it. He's speaking this over humanity. My cross is your cross. I already died your death. This reasoning is equally relevant to you. Calculate the cross. There can only be one logical conclusion. He died your death. That means you died to sin and now are alive to God. All right, Galatians 2:20 in the mirror. We all know it in the New King James, and I'll quote it. I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. The life that I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of God who loved me and gave his life for me. Now let's look at it in the mirror. So here I am, dead and alive at the same time. I'm dead to the old me I was trying to be, and alive to the real me, which is Christ in me. I'm co-crucified. Now I'm co-alive. What a glorious entanglement. What a glorious entanglement. I was in him in his death. Now I discover that he is infused in me. When we get to the conclusion of the message, we're going to see that infusion in us, what it reveals. The last time I shared, the last two times I shared, I talked about he awakens my ear to hear the blood that speaks so that I put on a different body. Our physical body will be impacted by what we engage. And I'll say this again, when the eye fully hooks into redemption, Jubilee comes to the entire bodily system. What does every cell, the trillions of cells in my body, what would they do when they express the full expression of Jubilee? Because my eye hooks into redemption completely, and my body just starts taking on something different, something higher, something glorious. What is it? It's immortality. This body must take on immortality.
I'm going to read